Clint Walker names the 7 actors he respects most. Clint Walker was born Norman Eugene Walker on May 30th, 1927, in Hartford, Illinois. Growing up in a small town in the middle part of America, Walker's early life was shaped by small-town values, working hard and being naturally good at sports, which would later help make him famous on screen. He was a tall, powerful-looking man who stood 6.6 inches tall, and just looking at him made people think of strength, quietness, and an almost superhero-like sense of being a hero. From when he was young, Walker showed he cared about staying fit and playing sports, which became really important for his later job as a Western hero, where being tough and real were really valued. His childhood in a simple, hard-working place taught him to be humble, to keep trying, and to have a quiet charm that would make audiences love him for many years. Walker's path to becoming famous wasn't quick. It was marked by never giving up and staying strong. After serving in the United States Army during World War II, he tried different jobs and learned about acting, finally getting noticed by Hollywood bosses who saw his good looks, athletic body, and natural way of looking good on camera. His big break came in 1958 when he got the part of Cheyenne Bodie in the TV show Cheyenne, made by Warner Brothers Television. This show became a groundbreaking moment in TV history because it was the first hour-long Western show and helped change the whole genre. Walker's acting as Cheyenne Bodie, a strong, good, and morally right cowboy, connected deeply with viewers, making him famous across America. He represented the perfect picture of the American West, brave, quiet, and reliable, but also able to show deep feelings when the story needed it. Throughout his career, Walker was known not just for how he looked, but also for being professional and honest. He always picked roles that made him look like a hero, often playing characters who stood up for what's right, protected weak people, and dealt with tough choices with smarts and bravery. His promise to be real went beyond the screen, too. Walker was known for doing many of his own dangerous stunts, which showed his athletic skills and love for his work. This hands-on way gave an amazing realness to his acting, making his characters believable and interesting. Over the years, he appeared in many movies and TV projects, including The Dirty Dozen, More Dead Than Alive, and The Night of the Grizzly, showing amazing flexibility by moving from westerns to action, adventure, and even war movies while keeping the same powerful presence that audiences loved. As the 1970s started, Clint Walker's career was anything but boring. He made a strange appearance alongside a bunch of familiar faces in the weird comedy The in 1970. But it wasn't long before television brought him back into the spotlight. Walker came back in full force, taking the main role in several big TV movie pilots that aired on ABC's really popular movie of the week. These included the tough frontier drama Yuma in 1971, the rough Western revenge story Hard Case in 1972, and the moody manhunt adventure The Bounty Man in 1972. Each role reminded viewers why Walker had become such a dependable and magnetic person on screen, but real life almost wrote a much darker ending. In May 1971, while skiing on Mammoth Mountain, Walker faced a nightmare that sounded more like a scene from a disaster movie than real life. He crashed hard, and in the mess, one of his ski poles went straight through his chest. The accident was so bad that many people thought he wouldn't make it. But in true Clint Walker style, with the toughness of a man built from Western grit, he made an amazing recovery that only added to the legend around him. As soon as he was back on his feet, Walker jumped into new roles. He teamed up with the charming Telly Savalas in the 1972 biographical drama Pancho Villa, bringing his signature quiet strength to a story set during Revolution and Rebellion. 2 years later, he got the lead in Kodiak 1974. A short-lived but memorable series where he played a tough and steady Alaska state trooper dealing with the dangers of the wilderness. That same year, he starred in the made-for-television cult Favorite Killdozer, a film so wonderfully weird it still gets talked about by genre fans, and followed it with the suspenseful creature thriller Scream of the Wolf in 1974. Walker kept the energy going through the middle and late 1970s. He headlined the family-friendly frontier adventure Baker's Hawk in 1976, then moved into supporting roles in the scary snowbound horror Snow Beast in 1977 and the moody western The White Buffalo in 1977. He crossed into Canadian movies with the After the World Ends thriller Deadly Harvest in 1977, proving he could adapt to darker, more modern storytelling. As the decade came to an end, Walker made a memorable appearance in the big TV miniseries Centennial and finished out the time period with a role in the tropical adventure film Mysterious Island of Beautiful Women 1979, adding yet another unexpected credit to his varied resume. Clint Walker's personal life, especially his experiences with marriage, showed both his lasting commitment to family and the changing chapters of his life away from the camera. Over the course of his lifetime, Walker got married 3 times, each marriage lasting roughly 20 years, showing a pattern of long-term dedication and steadiness that matched the loyalty of the roles he often played on screen. His first marriage was to Verna Garver in 1948, a union that marked the beginning of his adult personal life shortly after he began building his career in entertainment. Together, Walker and Verna welcomed a daughter, Valerie, in 1950, who would grow up to make her own path as a trailblazer in a male-dominated profession, becoming one of the first female airline pilots, a remarkable achievement that showed the pioneering spirit within the family. Despite the love and connection they shared, the marriage eventually came to an end, ending in a divorce in 1968 after 2 decades together, showing the challenges of balancing a growing acting career with family life. Following this chapter, Walker found love again with Giselle Hennessy, whom he married in 1974. This second marriage, like the first, showed his ability for lasting commitment, and it lasted for 20 years until Giselle's death in 1994. Their marriage was marked by companionship and helping each other, with Walker keeping a relatively private personal life during these years, focusing on his family and continuing to work on his projects in film and television. How long this marriage lasted highlighted not only his loyalty, but also his ability to grow meaningful relationships over the long term, even with the pressures and public attention that came with being a celebrity. Walker's final marriage came later in life in 1997, when he married Susan Cavallari. This union lasted until the end of Walker's life, showing a sense of continuity and lasting devotion even in his later years. With Susan, Walker experienced the companionship and emotional support that had been part of his previous marriages, and together they shared the quieter, more private moments of life away from the public eye. Through these 3 marriages, Clint Walker's personal life showed a pattern of deep commitment and strength with each partnership, giving him different experiences of love, family, and personal growth. His relationships not only made his private life richer, but also provided a foundation of stability and care that stayed with him throughout the remarkable career that made him a beloved figure in American film and television. Clint Walker, the tall Western icon whose deep voice and gentle humility made him beloved far beyond Hollywood, rarely spoke at length about his own achievements. But whenever he was asked about the people who inspired him, you could see his expression soften. He always said that the real measure of a man in the entertainment business wasn't the fame he had, but the respect he held for others. And when Clint Walker named the 7 actors he respected most, he didn't hesitate. Each name came with a story, a memory, and a quiet, personal truth. These folks, Clint once said, earned my respect, not just for what they did on the screen, but for who they were when the cameras stopped rolling. First on his list was John Wayne, a man whose shadow was as big over the Western genre as any mountain range. Clint admired Wayne's bigger-than-life presence, but even more, he admired the Duke's toughness. Wayne had a way of walking onto a set and making everybody stand up straighter, Clint remembered. He respected the work, and he expected everyone else to do the same. Though their styles were different, Wayne played grit. Clint played quiet strength. Clint gave Wayne credit for raising the bar for every cowboy who came after him. Next came Gary Cooper, the king of understated emotion. Clint had always been drawn to Cooper's honesty as an actor. Cooper didn't need to say much, he once explained. He could look at you, and that look told the whole story. To Clint, Cooper set the gold standard for Western heroes, calm, thoughtful, and dignified. Walker often said that if he ever came close to showing that kind of steady moral center, he owed it to studying Cooper's performances over the years. Another name on his list was James Stewart, whose sincerity touched Clint deeply. Jimmy was the real deal on and off camera, Clint said. He admired Stewart's bravery during World War II and the way he carried himself afterward with humility instead of pride. For Clint, Stewart proved that being a hero in real life didn't require big drama. It required character. Then there was Lee Marvin, the rough-edged actor who brought fire to every role. Clint liked him because Marvin never pretended to be anything he wasn't. Lee was blunt, tough, and sometimes a little wild, Clint joked, but he knew his craft better than anybody. Clint respected that Marvin accepted his flaws instead of hiding them, turning them into a strength that made him unforgettable. One of Clint's biggest personal influences was Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier of World War II. Murphy's humility, despite his amazing accomplishments, stuck with Clint throughout his life. Audie had seen more than most men ever will, Clint once said, but he never acted like he deserved special treatment. Clint admired that quiet toughness and felt a deep connection to Murphy's soft-spoken nature. He also named Henry Fonda, whose moral complexity fascinated him. Clint loved how Fonda could play both upright heroes and deeply flawed men, giving each role a humanity that stayed with you. Henry showed us that even good men struggle, Clint said, and that's a truth worth telling. Finally, Clint honored Ernest Borgnine, a man whose warmth won him over instantly. Borgnine's versatility amazed Clint, the ability to go from villain to sweetheart without ever losing authenticity. Ernie had a smile that could light up the whole room, Clint remembered. And when a man with his talent still treats the crew like family, that tells you everything about his heart. These 7 men, Wayne, Cooper, Stewart, Marvin, Murphy, Fonda, and Borgnine, formed a group of influence around Clint Walker. Their work impressed him, yes, but their humanity impressed him more. As Clint summed it up, you can teach someone to act, but you can't teach them to be decent. These were decent men, and that's what I respected most. Clint Walker's remarkable journey finally came to a close on May 21, 2018 in the quiet peace of Grass Valley, California, when he passed away from congestive heart failure. The timing added an extra emotional weight to the moment. He was just days away from celebrating his 91st birthday, a milestone that would have marked yet another testament to his strength, resilience, and bigger-than-life presence. Even at the end, his story felt like something out of one of his classic frontier adventures, dignified, powerful, and deeply human. Walker didn't leave this world alone. He left behind a circle of loved ones who carried pieces of his spirit forward. His daughter, Valerie, who had grown up watching her father navigate the unpredictable world of Hollywood while making her own groundbreaking path, continued to honor his legacy in her own fearless way. His third wife, who had shared with him the calm, more private chapters of his later life, remained a quiet pillar in remembering the man behind the fame. He was also survived by his half-sister and grandson, each connected to him through threads of family history, memories, and moments that stretched far beyond the screen. He had, however, already said farewell to someone who had once been part of his earliest beginnings, his twin sister, Lucille Westbrook, who passed away in 2000. Their unique bond, formed long before Clint Walker became a household name, added a bittersweet layer to his story. Even as audiences around the world mourned the loss of a towering Hollywood legend, those who knew him personally felt the deeper pain of losing a father, husband, brother, and grandfather.